Yo, what is good, everybody? We are back, close out podcast. It's been a while, but yeah, we're back on it. Season started. We can have more news, and we're gonna start off by looking at the Western Conference standings, where we talk about how far they are, how far they're gonna go, their floor and ceiling, and their projection. And I'm here with my boy Anson. How you been, bro?
Yo, what's good, man? We've been really busy, the past 2 weeks, but we're
Yeah,
back.
yes,
So make
sir.
sure you hit that subscribe, and then we're gonna keep pumping out content.
Yep. Yo, man, if you want to be ranked number one in fantasy, stay until the end, all right? All right. So
Yeah, for sure,
let's talk
bro.
about our number one seed currently, right? With the Utah Jazz, right? Last season they were the number one seed. What do you think they're gonna be this year? Or their floor and
I,
ceiling?
I definitely think they're gonna fall off. I don't know if they're gonna be a number one seed,
Yeah.
but I still expect them to finish, top four. They're still a very solid team. It's just, we're gonna see if they keep the number one seed because obviously the Lakers got a lot stronger, but again, like there's a lot of like load management issues over there. I think Utah projects very solidly. They kept all of the pieces that kept them number one, and then they also picked up Rudy Gay, which I thought was a pretty good pickup.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like, Jazz last year, I'm not taking away from their spectacular run, thanks to Quinn Snyder, putting that team to, play to their real potential. But I feel like this year is going to be different, right? With the Lakers having more pieces in their roster, and hopefully no more injuries and COVID.
Clippers got a point guard.
Yeah, I feel like this year it's going to be real different. But I'm not, I feel like I agree with the Jazz setup where it's like they're not going to be first seed, but they're not just going to fall off to bottom. I feel like they still have it. What's up?
What do you think about Rudy Gobert right now? Because the past season he's been really good.
Yeah, I saw them pick up Hassan Whiteside too the offseason, to kind of help out Rudy Gobert. I feel like Rudy Gobert, like we saw last year, he just gets destroyed by guards. He just can't keep up, right? And then I feel like he's doing. I feel like overall, if he improves his, like if his defense around the perimeter to try to guard guards, I feel like that'll be better, right? But I feel like he just gets cooked. I mean, even in the playoffs, right? We just didn't see the same Rudy Gobert we saw in the season where he was blocking shots, like blocking 2 shots a game, which is like, But overall, I feel like he has room to improve. But we'll see how he plays this season, though.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I think they will drop off a little bit is because the Clippers exposed a little bit of Gobert's flaws. So I feel like teams will be more prepared. I feel like Utah, if I was Utah, and obviously you can't get everything you want, but I feel like they should have went after a switchable five. Maybe
Yeah.
like I believe Jeff Green was on the move. They
Mhm.
didn't get Jeff Green. I feel like Jeff Green could have been, when you go against a team that decides to go small,
Yeah.
Jeff Green can, put a guard, these quicker guards
Yep.
at the five. And hopefully, I feel like the ceiling for this Utah team, they can make it to the finals. And I feel like one of the main determining factors is Rudy Gobert. Not only should he improve his perimeter, maybe lateral quickness,
Yeah.
but I feel like the focal point he should be focusing on is his post scoring. Because if you think about it, Embiid, for example, can't really guard, quicker guards, right?
Yeah.
So teams can play 5 point or 5 guards against the Sixers, but they never do it. Why? Because if you do it, Joel Embiid will punish you.
Yeah.
Gobert is not punishing anyone. He had Terrence Mann, he had all these littler guards on him, and he couldn't punish them. So, if you don't want teams to run 5 guards on you, you have to be able to take advantage of having smaller guards on the floor.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Like you said, Joel Embiid is such a dominant center, and he's a dominant player overall. That if you do want to run, like a 5 guard small ball for him, like the ball is going to Joel Embiid 85% of the time, and he's making that shot. You're telling me a 6'3" guy's on block, a 7-footer? Like there's no way, like. He's so good at transition, like putting the basketball in the basket with when there's like little, even when there's big guards on him, he's able to do it, or like bigger centers. So running five, I mean, like you said, running small ball, I think that's kind of suicidal. Like
Yeah,
that just doesn't make sense, right?
yeah.
Yeah, but all right, let's. So you said the ceiling for the Jazz. Did you talk about that already or not yet?
Yeah, I think their ceiling, their floor, they're gonna make the playoffs. I don't see them go, even in the playing game. I believe they're top 6 seed, even if, unless everyone gets injured, you can't really just predict that. But
Yeah,
I feel like their ceiling should be the finals. Um, they can upset the Lakers. It's a very low chance. That's why it's a ceiling.
yeah,
But even if they do happen to upset the Lakers, it's going to be a tough series. And then going up against Brooklyn in the finals, like I just have no
yeah,
faith. So,
yeah. That's just facts. But all right, let's move on to the next team then, right? What was the next team on the list? The Suns, right?
yep, the Suns were the 2nd seed last year. Um, took advantage of some injuries, unfortunate injuries.
Yeah, what the?
So, they were the 2nd seed last year. In terms of seeding, I don't know if they would drop off a lot, but I think the road to the finals will be a lot tougher for them this year.
All right. Okay. Okay. For sure. For sure. But now we have the Suns. What do you think the Suns projection are? Is that?
I wouldn't be surprised if the Suns, like I said, are still the 2nd seed, maybe a 3rd seed,
Yeah.
but I don't think they're gonna make a deep playoff push like they did last year. Like I said, they did take a lot of they did have a lot of advantages. You know, their first round against the Lakers, LeBron was, he rushed back to his injury. Anthony Davis was hurt. They had multiple injuries. And then the second round, they played against, who did they play against?
I think he played against the Nuggets, right? One of the Clippers, I think, right?
Yeah, they played against the Clippers, and Kawhi was out basically the entire series.
Yeah.
So, obviously that's not the same team.
Yeah.
And, you know, and then they went against the Nuggets, and the Nuggets, obviously no Jamal Murray. So, the Suns had probably one of the easier road to the finals we've seen in a while. Every team they played, their star player was basically injured.
Yeah.
So, I could see them making it to the second round, but then once they hit the second round, you got to think like there's only going to be 2 teams that make the Western Conference Finals. And
Yeah.
I think their ceiling is going to be maybe they can make the finals. I'll put their ceiling there, but I
Yeah.
think it's very unlikely because they would have to beat, if Lakers are healthy, they would have to beat the Lakers, the Clippers.
Yeah, and I feel like they're just really, really tough teams that even they struggle with. I guess I'm not gonna say like they got lucky last year, but yeah, you gotta put respect where respect is due, right? Due to
Mhm.
COVID and injuries last year, they did have a great run, but like you said, I just don't think I can see that happening again this year.
Yeah, especially the Nuggets by the playoffs, they should be getting Jamal back. That is another very strong team, and then
Yeah,
Utah, you know, is another strong team. So
yeah, and Kawhi is supposed to be coming back for playoffs too. So
yeah,
okay.
I don't see this team dropping. Let's talk about their floor. I don't see them dropping to the 6th seed.
Oh yeah,
See
definitely
them
not.
being in a playing game. Yeah, and then if you look at their roster, they didn't really pick up anyone really significant. I would say
Yeah,
JaVale McGee, but
but like
mainly
yeah.
their offseason, they just kind of maintained the pieces that, gave them the success. Oh, they picked up Alfred Payne, but
Oh yeah,
who
yeah.
cares?
But yeah, I just feel like you said, like, I don't see their floor that low. I don't really see their ceilings too high either. I feel like they're just a really solid over team overall. But if they do have a really good run, then yeah, they for sure can get into the finals. But being the Lakers or the Clippers is definitely like a huge, huge task. If they're able to, then damn, Chris Paul MVP or something, or book their MVP, man. Like, swear to God. But yeah, that's pretty good for Phoenix Suns. You want to move on to the next team?
Yeah, so the 3rd seed last year was the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah, the
This
Nuggets.
team, it's going to be kind of hard to project where they are in terms of seeding. I
Yeah,
feel like we can project where they are in the playoffs when Jamal Murray comes back. That's the
yeah,
main question mark. But I'm looking at their depth chart right now, and they don't have a lot of depth, especially without Jamal Murray.
yeah. That's the thing.
Um, I could see their ceiling. I could see them being a top 3 team, but I can also see them being in the play-in. I could also see them being a 7th seed, just
Yeah,
because it's going to be a lot harder for the defense. Is going to focus a lot on Jokic.
Yeah.
you know. And it's fortunate that, you know, Jokic is the type of player that, you know, even if you focus on him, he could still make it work. He could still facilitate.
Yeah, I feel like you're right. I feel like Jokic is such a good playmaker that the Nuggets will always be a threat. Um, especially since Jokic was MVP last year, and now they lost Jamal Murray, but I feel like MPJ and the other like MPJ, Will Barton was able to step up to really start scoring the basket. Start pulling their like kind of put that weight of that Jamal Murray that they're missing on the team. But like you said, when Murray comes back, it just definitely just looks like a more solidified team. Especially with Aaron Gordon for defense, MPJ as well. Like these guys are really talented in what they do, like especially on offense and defense. And I feel like going against any team, the Nuggets should not be like underestimated, right?
Yeah, so I would put their ceiling. I feel like they do have a small chance at the championship, so I'm gonna just say ceiling championship. But
Damn, really?
I think it's a possibility. Like, you know, you never know, right? Like last year, KD, Kyrie got injured. So if one of those guys get injured, very small, I'll put it at like 1%. But realistically, I think they'll be probably they could make the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah,
If obviously if Jamal Murray doesn't come back in time or if he rushes through it and then re-injures, you know, obviously he's
yeah,
not, you know, but they need Jamal Murray. But looking at this roster, they've always been like 2 years ago, they made the Western Conference Finals. So we know
yeah.
this team is, and they made it while having, you know, a rookie Michael Porter Jr., right?
That's true.
Michael Porter Jr., this is going to be his third year in. Um, and I'm expecting a really big jump from Michael Porter Jr. If you look at the first half of the season, he was shooting the ball. I mean, he was shooting the ball pretty well overall, but he really stepped it up towards the second half of the season. I feel like that's just him, you know, adjusting to the pace of the game.
Yeah,
So this third year, I'm expecting, you know, maybe he can be in all-star conversation.
yeah,
So, and then if they have an all-star caliber player like Michael Porter with Jokic, and then they have a third all-star caliber player in Jamal Murray coming back.
yeah,
And they have so many solid pieces, right? They just added Jeff Green, who's a really good role player.
yeah. Exactly.
Will Barton's a good role player. Monte Morris, Campazzo, Aaron Gordon. They have so many solid players, and you know, if everyone's healthy, and if Michael Porter, you know, keeps progressing the way he projects to, they'll
Yeah,
have three All-Star players. One of the three is going to be an MVP level player,
yeah.
and a
Exactly.
lot of solid role players. So I think this team is very strong if they're healthy.
Hmm.
But you know, that's the issue with health as well, is that Jamal Murray isn't healthy and Michael Porter Jr. has like an injury history.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he did get surgery when he got started, but yeah, I feel like like you said, the Nuggets are really they're always gonna be a respected opponent. That's why like if you do like underestimate them, they'll make you pay. In a point where like they do have FM MVP and obviously such a good role like good amount of role players that like really understand their roles and know what to do to win. But yeah, you think the Denver Nuggets? What about the floor? You think that Denver Nuggets gonna be able to drop not too
That's
much or?
that's the thing with the floor. I could see them being in the play-in.
Mm,
I think it's possible just because of the injuries and you know Jokic is gonna face so much like defensive pressure every night. Like you could
yeah,
compare Jokic's defensive pressure that he's gonna feel. At least he has MPJ, you know,
yeah,
to take some of it off.
yeah,
But they're gonna focus on Jokic the way they were focusing on Curry. So I expect, you know, but Jokic looks he looks like he's in really good shape. So
dude,
we'll
yeah. I
see.
don't know. I seen his off Austin workout. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But you want to go on to the next team?
Yeah, so the next team, another team that I think by the way, the next team, the fourth seed was the Clippers.
Yeah, Clippers.
This is another team where I'm gonna put their ceiling at the championship. I don't think they're favorites at all. I
Oh, yeah,
think
definitely not.
they have a a small chance, definitely a bigger chance than the Nuggets, in my opinion.
Okay.
Um,
Oh, that's with Kawhi Leonard, right? Like without
yeah,
Kawhi Leonard,
obviously I'm gonna assume Kawhi is gonna be healthy
yeah,
towards the end of the season.
yeah,
But yeah, so let's take a look at their roster right now,
yeah,
and you know, with Kawhi back, they're gonna have Paul George at the two, Kawhi at the three, and then
yeah,
they finally got a playmaking point guard in Eric Bledsoe. I
yeah,
feel like Eric Bledsoe does fit the team well because he's another gritty defender.
yeah.
And
He's really like he's down. Like he'll hustle to play, and he's able to put points up too. I feel like.
Yeah. And he's also, he fits into like the good. If you look at the Clippers, their point guard, shooting guard, and small forward, that might be the best defense in the league, right?
That's true.
Bledsoe, Paul George, and Kawhi. Paul George and Kawhi being all defensive teams. Kawhi's, one of the best defenders we have, and then Eric Bledsoe's always a really good defender. So this might be, the best like wing defense, perimeter defense team in the league.
Yeah.
So yeah, every year I feel like, 2 years ago the Clippers were the favorites for the championship. The year the Lakers won, a lot of analysts actually thought the Clippers were the
Oh
favorite.
yeah, I remember that. I remember that now, dude. I don't know, man. That shit was crazy. They're talking stuff like that. It was crazy.
Honestly, I think that is understandable because before they kind of flopped and lost to the Nuggets, like it was kind of looking like that.
Yeah.
And especially with the progression that Reggie Jackson has been making.
Oh yeah.
I feel like they could definitely reach the finals, and they can definitely compete with the Nets with the roster they have. I feel like
I feel like they definitely can.
And then even this last year, their run is just unfortunate, but it's still impressive that they got all the way up to
without Kawhi.
the Western Conference Finals with no Kawhi, right? They beat the number 1 seed without their best player.
Yeah,
so it just shows how capable this team is. So I put their ceiling at the championship, but realistically, I think they'll probably reach the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah.
And then their floor, I think they're not going to be in play-in. Even if Kawhi doesn't come back until the playoffs,
Yeah.
I think Paul George. I feel like Paul George plays better when he's the number 1 option.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm not saying like hindsight bias. Obviously, like we see him play so well without Kawhi, and it kind of just says like, yo, do you think Kawhi and PG is a good match? But I feel like PG knows that he's the number 1 option. He gets in his back a little bit more. He tries a little harder.
Has more free.
Yeah.
And we've seen this, like this is not the only time, right? We've seen OKC when Westbrook took a step back. We've seen the year where Westbrook was averaging only 20 a game.
Yeah.
He was the main facilitator for that team. And Paul George had an MVP season.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And even his years in the Pacers where he was the number 1 option, he had his best years. So
yeah,
I think
I definitely, obviously, off topic, but like I feel like if they did beat the Nuggets that year, they didn't throw the 3-1 lead. I felt like they were really, really good contentions to take it all. I feel like that
would have been a good series. Lakers and Clippers would have been a good series for sure.
That would have been crazy, dude. But yeah, you wanna go on to the next topic or next next team?
Yeah, and the last team we're gonna talk about today, we're just gonna talk about the top 5 seed.
It's the boy.
That is the Dallas Mavericks. I really like Luka. I am a little bit of a Luka fan, but it's just rough watching, this team build around him. They did absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
They did this offseason. They picked up Reggie Bullock. Cool, right? That's
cool, man.
Like, what does that do? I don't know. Like I said, as a Luka fan, it saddens me, but I'm gonna put their ceiling as the second round. They haven't reached the second round yet. I think it's possible for them to do it just because Luka's so damn good.
That's true.
But I mean, even if they do get past the first round, they're gonna have to face one of these, like the Clippers, Lakers, Suns, Nuggets, Jazz. They got to face one of these really tough teams, and it's gonna take everything out of Luka. We've seen it'll take Luka 7 games of dropping 40. And then, right after that series, going up against another really tough team. Like, let's say they get by, I don't know, Utah in the first round, right? They would have to play the Lakers, and there's just no just look at this roster. It's just Luka.
Yeah, like you could argue Porzingis, but like I feel like Porzingis hasn't really been stepping up. But I feel like the new Jason Kidd, a new coach or whatever, right? He said that he's been working with Kristaps to, I guess, fulfill his what he wanted to do and how he plays. And I feel like maybe this year, Kristaps wouldn't be bad, and actually be able to help Luka instead of trying to harm the team. Because I felt last year, Porzingis actually did more harm than good, in my opinion. I felt like he held the team back a lot of times, and then it forced like Tim Hardaway Jr. to really step up, which we saw him do in the playoffs. But I feel like that I feel like Kristaps, Luka, I feel like the team is there. They just need to be able to work in unison and work together, in my opinion. Like that's about it, you know.
I
Um,
think I
yeah,
think
but
Kristaps definitely gonna have a better year than he did last year. Well, he had a pretty good year in the regular season. It's just like he kind of struggled in the playoffs.
yeah,
I don't expect that from him again. I expect him to be more aggressive. How
yeah,
it's kind of like is a little bit questionable with Kristaps just because again his injury history. You
hmm
just don't know if he's going to be healthy or not. Um, and then we really have to look out for Tim Hardaway Jr.
yeah,
We've seen him take a big step, especially he really stepped up in that playoff series. Is he going to continue progressing? Because if he
yeah,
does, then this team has a lot, a bigger chance of making it into the second round. But I think it stops there. Their ceiling second round, and
mm.
then their floor. I just don't see them missing the playoffs.
Yeah.
As
I just don't see the missing players at all. You're right.
all right, and then
Yeah,
as seeding wise, I think they're gonna top off maybe fourth seed highest. Realistically, I think it's gonna be a fifth or sixth seed. Just based on how tough the Western Conference is,
yeah,
and then Um, in terms of floor for ceiling, I could see them hitting maybe the ninth seed, but they're gonna make the play in just because Luca's just gonna will his way in there. But yeah,
yeah, yeah. I mean, unless knock on wood, nothing happens to Luca. All right, if he doesn't get injured, then yeah, for sure. But if he does, then I don't know, man. The team's just empty, bro. Worse than the Rockets over here without Luca. But yeah, I think that should wrap it up for the top five Western Conference last year, and our projections on what they're gonna do this year. I mean, Mavs were fifth seed last year, but you got to remember, the Lakers were also seventh seed. So if they move up, obviously Dallas will move down, right? So it's kind of just how it is. Um, but I feel like overall, I feel like this should just kind of wrap it up and see how we see this year for these teams. Yeah.
all right.
Yeah. All right. But yeah, we'll definitely see what happens this year with the teams, and then we'll keep you guys updated with whatever news we got. But yeah, until next time, peace out.
Yeah, stay tuned to see what we'll talk about with Golden State Warriors.
For
That's the
sure, for
next
sure.
episode.
All right, peace.
Peace.